The dark feminine is not something you learn. It is something you remember, a presence that has always lived inside you, waiting for you to come back to it. A deeper, wilder, older version of you that knows who you are long before the world taught you who you should be. This energy rises when you stop performing and start existing. When you stop chasing and start receiving. When you stop bending and start becoming. Your dark feminine energy awakens the moment you decide you are no longer here to shrink. You are here to expand, to breathe deeper, to feel more, to trust yourself without permission, to move in silence and speak only with intention, to be soft without being weak, and strong without becoming hard. This energy is the quiet, lethal confidence that says, I am enough. I have always been enough. I don't need validation to confirm what I already know within myself. There is a reason this part of you feels mysterious, almost forbidden. Society teaches women to be pleasing, predictable, controllable, agreeable, but your dark feminine essence is none of these things. She is unpredictable in the most beautiful way. She is emotional but never out of control. She is powerful but never forceful. She does not beg. She does not chase. She does not fear being alone because she knows that solitude is where she hears her own voice the clearest. She belongs to herself before she belongs to anyone else, and that self-possession is the root of her magnetism. To awaken her, you begin by reclaiming your emotional world. Most women were raised to suppress, minimize, or hide their real feelings. Told to be quiet, to not be dramatic, to not want too much, to not feel too deeply. But your dark feminine thrives on emotional honesty. She does not numb herself to survive. She feels to understand. She listens to her emotions as signals, as wisdom, as guidance. When something hurts, she doesn't run away. She gets curious. When something triggers her, she doesn't collapse. She investigates. When something calls to her, she doesn't ignore it. She follows her intuition with courage. This energy also awakens when you reconnect with your body. Your body has always been your greatest teacher, your deepest compass. But many women disconnect from it to be accepted. They silence their sensuality because it's judged. They silence their appetite because it's criticized. They silence their boundaries because they fear rejection. But your dark feminine lives in your physicality, your voice, your hips, your breath, your heartbeat. She wants you to slow down, to breathe with intention, to speak with softness, to walk with presence, to feel yourself from the inside out. You become magnetic when you are embodied, when you are no longer floating in your head but rooted in your skin, your sensations, your desire, your awareness. A woman connected to her body becomes unforgettable without trying, not because she is the loudest in the room, not because she performs for attention, but because she radiates an energy that cannot be faked, the energy of someone who is deeply at home inside herself. When you move from this space, people notice, not because you want them to, but because they can feel the difference. Your presence becomes a frequency, your silence becomes a language, your existence becomes a statement. The dark feminine also returns through boundaries, not angry boundaries, not defensive boundaries, but calm, grounded, self-possessed boundaries that say, I choose what I participate in, I choose what I tolerate, I choose what I allow. This energy doesn't need to shout or explain. She simply knows, and when she knows, she acts. She doesn't justify. She doesn't negotiate her worth. She doesn't wait for someone to treat her better. She treats herself better first, and the world adjusts. Your dark feminine awakens every time you stop overgiving, every time you stop rescuing, every time you stop chasing emotional crumbs, every time you stop trying to earn affection, every time you stop abandoning yourself to keep someone else comfortable. She rises when you realize that your softness is a gift, and not everyone deserves access to it, that your presence is a privilege, and not everyone has earned it, that your energy is sacred, and only those who respect it can keep it. There is something deeply powerful about a woman who is selective, not guarded, selective. She chooses what she invests in because she understands that her time, her emotions, her love, her attention, these are all forms of currency. When she gives them, she gives fully. But she never gives them blindly. And she never gives them where they are not valued. This energy is also rooted in detachment, not coldness, not numbing, but the calm, grounded belief that nothing truly meant for you will require you to betray yourself to obtain it, that nothing aligned will force you into desperation, that nothing meant for your soul will drain your spirit. Detachment is simply trust. Trust in yourself, trust in timing, trust in alignment. When you detach from outcomes, you step into your magnetism. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop forcing and start receiving. You stop gripping and start surrendering. Awakening the dark feminine is also about letting go. Letting go of the versions of you that were built from pain. Letting go of the identities you created to survive. Letting go of the roles that exhausted you. Letting go of the people who cannot meet you at your depth. Letting go of the habits that make you shrink instead of expand. Letting go of the stories that tell you you're not enough. You shed these layers not with anger, but with softness. Not with hatred, but with grace. Not with fear, but with knowing. When something no longer aligns, I release it, because what is aligned cannot be taken away. The dark feminine also awakens through self-intimacy, giving yourself the attention you used to beg for, giving yourself the love you used to chase, giving yourself the reassurance you used to depend on others for, loving the parts of you that were once rejected, holding the wounds that were once neglected, sitting with your own soul the way you used to sit with others. When you become emotionally intimate with yourself, you stop needing external validation. You don't forbid desire, but desire no longer controls you. You don't forbid connection, but connection no longer defines you. You don't forbid love, but love no longer blinds you. This energy grows stronger as you stop performing for the world. You stop trying to be liked. You stop trying to impress. You stop trying to prove. Instead, you show up as you are, raw, real, grounded, mysterious, magnetic. There is something incredibly powerful about a woman who is simply herself, not perfect, not polished, not performing, just present. Your dark feminine also thrives in reclaiming the parts of you that were once criticized. Your sensitivity becomes intuition. Your intensity becomes magnetism. Your anger becomes boundaries. Your desire becomes manifestation. Your heartbreak becomes rebirth. Your solitude becomes strength. Everything you once saw as a flaw becomes a doorway to your power. There is also the part of her that moves in silence. She does not announce her plans. She does not reveal her intentions. She does not explain her decisions. You awaken this energy by honoring your intuition above everything else. Your intuition is not a mystery. It is clarity wrapped in calmness. It is the subtle feeling in your chest, the whisper in your mind, the pull in your stomach. The dark, feminine woman listens to these signs. She trusts them. As this energy grows, you will notice that your relationships shift. You stop being attracted to instability. You stop tolerating inconsistency. You stop entertaining emotional immaturity. You stop confusing chemistry with compatibility. You stop giving second chances to red flags. You stop staying in places where your soul feels unloved. Your standards rise naturally. Not from ego, but from self-respect. And your presence becomes different. People feel your absence before they feel your presence. Your silence becomes louder than your words. Your energy becomes a boundary on its own. You begin to attract people who are drawn to your depth, your stillness, your self-respect. People who are intimidated by you fall away. People who cannot meet you rise or disappear. People who recognize your power respond to it with reverence, not entitlement. You awaken her every time you choose yourself. Every time you breathe deeply instead of reacting. Every time you walk away from what drains you. Every time you listen to your body. Every time you honor your boundaries. Every time you slow down instead of rushing. Every time you speak your truth without apology. Every time you protect your peace above everything else. She is not separate from you. She is you. the you that is raw, wild, intuitive, embodied, magnetic, sacred, emotional, sovereign, the you that cannot be controlled by fear, the you that cannot be manipulated by insecurity, the you that cannot be dimmed by the world, the you that remembers her power. As you continue this journey, you will feel her in your chest, in your breath, in your intuition, in your boundaries, in your silence, in your softness, in your stillness. You will recognize her in the way you no longer abandon yourself, in the way you no longer explain your worth, in the way you no longer seek permission to exist, in the way you no longer fear outgrowing people, in the way you no longer settle for half love, in the way you no longer doubt your own voice. She rises in you now, not as a scream, but as a whisper, not as chaos, but as clarity, not as force, but as gravity, not as anger, but as knowing, not as noise, but as depth. You are not becoming someone else. You are returning to yourself.